Azaneza. In addition, I would like to thank the organizers of this event, namely the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, who are graciously hosting us today, the Climate Investment Funds, CIF, and the African Development Bank Group and the World Bank Group. Thank you all for bringing us together to discuss this important topic. By the way, we're streaming this live, so when you go to CIF's YouTube channel, you'll find the link, so you can share it to the rest of the world, to your networks, so that they can follow the conversation and also they can participate. Now, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce our distinguished speakers from the organizing partners to provide brief welcome remarks. First of all, I will start with His Excellency Mr. Ahmed Shide, who is the Minister of Finance for the government of Ethiopia. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming His Excellency Ato Ahmed Shide.
Good morning. Your Excellency, Dr. Bernadette Arakwe, Minister of Environment of the Republic of Rwanda, Excellencies, State Ministers, Ms. Tariye Badeksin, Chief Executive Officer of the Climate Investment Fund, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, Mr. Samuel Baide Do, UNDP Resident Representative in Ethiopia, distinguished representatives of the African Development Bank, the World Bank Group, multilateral development banks, development partners, civil society, private sector, and invited guests. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols are duly observed. Good morning. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to Ethiopia and to our capital city, Addis Ababa, for the CIF Global Knowledge Exchange. We are honored to host this important gathering in partnership with the Climate Investment Fund, the African Development Bank, the World Bank Group. Over the coming days, this event will bring together countries, institutions, and the partners working across energy transformation, resilience, nature-based solutions to exchange practical experience and deepen cooperation. For Ethiopia, hosting this event is especially meaningful. Our country has long placed climate action as the center of its development vision. Through our climate resilient green economy approach, we are pursuing a development pathway that is green, inclusive, and resilient. This means expanding renewable energy, strengthening food and water security, restoring degraded landscapes, protecting nature, and building the resilience of our communities and economy. Here in Addis Ababa, you will also see a city in great transformation through corridor and riverside development, through green public space development, improved urban infrastructure, and climate smart city planning. Addis Ababa is becoming modern, more livable, and more connected, and attracting a lot of tourists. These efforts reflect Ethiopia's broader ambition to ensure that development is not only about growth, but about sustainable growth that improves lives while protecting the environment. In this journey, CIF has been an important partner to Ethiopia. CIF support is helping advance our national climate priorities, including energy access, resilience, and nature-based solutions. Ethiopia's partnership with CIF shows the value of country-led platforms, coordinated investment, and concessional climate finance that can mobilize larger resources for real transformational impact. This knowledge exchange is also a valuable opportunity for South-South learning. Ethiopia comes to this gathering ready to share its experience, including lessons from renewable energy development, landscape restoration, climate resilient agriculture, and national planning. But we also come ready we are also very ready to learn from experience of other countries. The climate crisis is global, but many of most practical solutions are being developed in countries of the global south. At the same time, we must recognize that the scale of climate investment required remains far greater than the resources currently available. Ethiopia needs expanded investment in climate resilient agriculture, drought resilience, water security, renewable and off-grid energy, sustainable land management, and resilient urban infrastructure. These are not abstract needs. They are central to protecting livelihoods, strengthening food security, creating jobs, and safeguarding development gains. Looking ahead, Ethiopia is proud to prepare to host COP32. We see this as an opportunity to bring the world to Africa and to place Africa at the heart of global climate action. Our priorities are clear: stronger adaptation finance, greater investment in resilience, accelerated energy access, nature-based solutions, and a climate finance architecture that responds to the needs of developing countries. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, as we begin this knowledge exchange, I encourage all participants to engage openly, share practical lessons, build partnerships, and use this platform to move from dialogue to implementation. While you are here, I also warmly invite you to experience Addis Ababa and Ethiopia, our culture, our history, our hospitality, and the energy of the country committed to comprehensive transformation. Let me close by reaffirming the strong commitment of the government and the people of Ethiopia to climate resilient and green economic development. We remain determined to work with all partners to turn climate ambition into investment and investment into lasting impact for our people and our planet. I wish you a productive, inspiring, and a memorable stay in Ethiopia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Ahmed Shide, Minister of the Ministry of Finance, and thank you for hosting this great event here in Ethiopia. A bit of a correction, my apologies. Earlier I said Mr. Hassan, His Excellency Mr. Hassan Mohammed from Ministry of Industry, not Agriculture. My apologies, sir. And next we have Ms. Tariye Gbadegesin, who is the Chief Executive Officer of CIF. I believe Ms. Tariye also has an exciting announcement today, so the floor is yours. Looking forward to that announcement.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, let me try again. Good morning. Thank you. It's a great pleasure to welcome you all to this first ever CIF Global Knowledge Exchange. We've had several regional exchanges over the last few years, but this is our foray into a global knowledge exchange. And we're delighted that we have over 130 participants from at least 29 countries today. Many have traveled far distances from Grenada to Ghana, Uzbekistan to Peru, and Fiji to Indonesia. Welcome. What a remarkable wealth of experience, creativity, and dedication, all gathered in one place. But let me start with some of the protocols. Your Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the government of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, our most gracious host. My deepest appreciation to His Excellency Ahmed Shide, Minister of Finance of Ethiopia, for gracing our event with his presence. His esteemed colleagues, the ministers of state, senior officials across the government, for their exceptional hospitality and partnership in convening us here today. Acknowledging Her Excellency, Ms. Dr. Bernadette Arakwiye, Minister of Environment for Rwanda, and Her Excellency Olivia Leslie, Ambassador of Ireland to Ethiopia, welcoming all other ministers, representatives from across the world. And of course, I must acknowledge senior leadership from our partner institutions, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and all others, including multilateral climate funds, international organizations. Let me stand on all protocols. I have a lot to get through in this, in this speech today. And so let me start by saying that it is most fitting that we are hosting this global exchange in Ethiopia today, given Ethiopia's bold, decisive actions on climate, setting ambitious low carbon targets, successfully organizing the second Africa Climate Summit, an ambitious green legacy initiative, planting 32 billion seedlings, 95% renewable energy, and of course, we are all greatly looking forward to the hosting of COP32 next year, a defining moment for Africa advancing global climate action. CIF's partnership with Ethiopia runs very deep. We've been supporting investments that drive Ethiopia's vision, helping to expand energy access, support resilience in vulnerable communities, helping to support households to manage climate shocks, and a great support for nature-based solutions. So we've done about 90 million, mobilizing 1.2 billion across the MDBs and other actors. A real demonstration of what it means to align international finance alongside a country's vision. And that is really the value proposition that the CIF brings to the development finance architecture and the multilateral climate finance architecture. And our ultimate goal is to help countries turn climate ambition into bankable, country-led investment strategies that drive long-term development impact. Effectively, we serve at that nexus between climate and economic development. Our way is about system-based transformation. It's not about projects alone, but how they interact across policy, across technical support, across regulation, and of course the assets themselves, the integration of the different aspects of infrastructure, agriculture, et cetera, that are really going to drive sustained economic growth, energy security, and climate resilience. And this is really what makes the CIF model so distinctive. It's also called the programmatic model. Programmatic meaning we're dealing with integration and intersection of multiple aspects of the economy and government, working with multilateral development banks holistically as a system and the multilateral climate funds, and indeed it sounds complex. And it's for this reason that we are building out this knowledge exchange to really look at how we can support countries navigate an increasingly complex financial system, to support them with how they build out their country platforms, how they leverage this programmatic model to make access easier and delivery more impactful. And that's why you're all here today, because you bring that hands-on experience of what it takes to design and deliver investments in energy, nature, and resilience. You know what works, where the bottlenecks are, and how progress really happens. We've learned that the peer learning shared experience across the countries who have worked closely through CIF programming with MDBs is really the best way for countries to continue to build capacity and to learn. In fact, some of the best innovation and financial solutions will always come from the ground up, and this is what the CIF seeks to continue to deliver and to emphasize. Over these 4 days, you're going to take part in dynamic workshops, there's knowledge booths, global panels, and see industry and resilience investments in action. I know we have some very exciting site visits. I'm very much looking forward to attending them. And threading through all of this is one powerful idea, which is about how do you transform systems for economic results and ultimately climate action. Now, the CIF has been supporting countries with this for many years, and increasingly our work in country platforms supporting that integrated system approach holds through. Now, it's done in different ways with different countries. I see some of our partners here who have been able to leverage CIF's experience and capabilities to use this system to drive their country platforms or how they engage with the system. But some of the more recent platforms include Brazil's Climate and Ecological Transformation Investment Plan, the BIP, Turkey's Industry Decarbonization Investment Plan, and Kenya's Strengthening National Climate Coordination Platform. So these are just some examples, and we hope that this week we'll continue to learn about others, even through sub-segments. Now, Ethiopia's new $40 million Nature, People, and Climate Investment Plan through the CIF is also a compelling example. And its objective is to catalyze an additional $500 million of funding from AFDB, IFC, World Bank, and others. So this is 12 times catalytic finance. And in fact, we just recently approved its first project, which is a project that is being implemented by the World Bank around landscape restoration, land tenure, etc. So looking forward to more projects coming over the line in respect of that. Nature, and what we're learning from countries, is that you can use nature to build resilience. It's critical for restoring lands, for enhancing livelihoods of the people that use those lands for their economic resilience. And that is why I am very proud at this point to speak about a new call that is going to be coming up from the CIF. This call has to do with resilience. And the fact is that resilience and challenges with responding to climate and dealing with climate shocks has become so significant for many of our countries. Tremendous amounts of GDP being lost, and at the same time we're seeing that investing in resilience has economic return across the system, not just private, but for governments to invest in resilience. We're seeing numbers up to 10 times avoided loss and economic returns for every dollar invested. So the question is not whether to invest in resilience, but how to do so at scale. And so the CIF today is very proud to share a major announcement. Many of you in this room have been working with the CIF as we have been building out the next generation of resilience investments. And so I'm happy to announce that due to early contributions from Germany, Spain, and Ireland, that we are officially opening the expressions of interest for our next generation resilience program, ARISE. ARISE stands for Accelerating Resilience, Investments, and Innovation for Sustainable Economies. It's about how to stabilize, enhance our economies by investing in climate resilience. It's not a new idea. It actually builds off from all the experience that comes out from these knowledge exchanges. Our first foray into resilience was actually in 2008 with the pilot program for climate resilience, where we had over $1 billion and mobilized $3 billion. It's from learnings from that program that we are launching the ARISE. It's particularly meaningful for Africa. Across the continent, climate shocks are already costing countries 2 to 5% of GDP every year, and many African economies have been rising to this challenge, piloting new solutions, and in many respects being the center of innovation and when it comes to resilience and resilient solutions. So I really do encourage all our eligible partner countries to seize on this important opportunity. The applications close in June. It is going to be a phased approach, so we will be reopening, but we are very excited that we have finally moved this program over the line. Now, the challenges that we face collectively are complex, and they're only getting more complex with the triad of crisis ranging from climate to energy to security. But what we know is that when we align ambition with finance, planning and delivery, and national leadership with global partnership, the effects are extraordinary. The knowledge in this room is extraordinary. And together, we're going to put the sum of all our knowledge here together to work for people and planet. Your contributions over the coming days will shape better investments, stronger partnerships, and more confident national leadership. I trust we will use these days well by sharing generously and listening deeply. I wish you an inspiring, energizing, and deeply collaborative exchange. Welcome, and let's get started.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tarie Gbade-Gessin, CEO of CIF. And That's an exciting announcement, Arise, and the name is very fitting because you can only arise when you are resilient. And next generation is built up from that resilience, and Arise is the right name. So congratulations, CIF and team, for launching this new next generation. Oh, thank you. Next, we have Dr. Alex Mubiru, who is the Director General of Eastern Africa Region for the African Development Bank Group. Karibu sana.
His Excellency Honorable Ahmed Shide, Minister of Finance, Federal Republic of Ethiopia. I should also mention that he's the governor of Ethiopia at the African Development Bank, so he's my boss. Ms. Tarie Badegesen, I'm sorry, I hope I'm not butchering your name, CEO of CIF. Honorable ministers, representatives of development partners, civil society, the private sector, academia, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. So on behalf of the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Sidi Uta, and the entire management of our institution, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the government of Ethiopia for the warm hospitality and excellent organization and logistics, and to the CIF Secretariat for gathering us all together to explore how a united national vision can crowd in finance and drive systemic change. Following the African Knowledge Exchange in Abidjan in 2023, we are delighted to partner with the CIF and the government of Ethiopia on this first Global Knowledge Exchange hosted in the beautiful city of Addis Ababa. The African Development Bank is greatly honored to be invited to this important event for accelerating climate action. Africa, as the most vulnerable continent, is receiving disproportionately small fraction of the global climate finance. We need to increase investments in resilience very rapidly to close the growing adaptation gap. In this regard, we welcome CIF's Next Generation Resilience Investment Program, just announced by the CEO, Arise. The CIF has been one of the most important partners of the African Development Bank in advancing climate and development finance in Africa over the last 15 years. With over $12.5 billion in global commitments, the CIF has allocated a significant share of its resources to Africa, with the African Development Bank serving as one of the key implementing entities. We have deployed over $1.1 billion of CIF concessional resources across 48 projects in 28 countries, leveraging another $10 billion in co-financing. Our partnership has demonstrated how multilateral collaboration, particularly in these challenging times, can effectively mobilize and scale up additional catalytic finance. As you are aware, Ethiopia will also host the Climate Change Summit in 2027, or COP32. This African COP will provide an excellent opportunity, once again, to draw the global attention to the urgent need for accelerated climate action in Africa and the most vulnerable countries, communities, and ecosystems. We look forward to working with the Ethiopian government, CIF, and other partners to make COP32 a success. We all have a role in creating a sustainable climate-proof future. To this end, the African Development Bank has recently adopted 4 cardinal pillars as guiding lights since the election of our new president last year. First, enhancing access to capital, or by mobilizing Africa's financial resources. Second, reforming and consolidating the continent's financial systems, institutions, and talent to assert Africa's global agency. Third, harnessing the demographic transformation for economic development. And fourth and lastly, building climate-resilient infrastructure and robust value addition to natural resources. As we begin this important exchange here today, let us move forward with urgency, with purpose, and a shared commitment to deliver tangible impact for our people and the world. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, Mr. Alex Mubiru. Please note that, unfortunately, a high-level representative from the World Bank Group is unable to join us today due to difficulty in timing with the World Bank Group Energy Week and other commitments this week. However, I would like to acknowledge their strong partnership and invaluable support in putting this event together. Please thank them. Okay. Now, we're also honored to have a number of distinguished guests provide remarks to help open this event. To start off, I would like to invite the Honorable Dr. Bernadette Arakwie, who is the Minister of Environment for the Government of Rwanda. You're honorable. And Murakaza Neza.
Your Excellency Ahmed Shide, Minister of Finance, the Government of Ethiopia, Ms. Tarie Badegesin, CEO of CIF, Honorable Ministers, Ambassadors, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is my great pleasure to join you this morning for the first Global CIF Knowledge Exchange here in Addis Ababa. And I want to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the Climate Investment Funds, the government of Ethiopia as the gracious host of this exchange, and as well as our esteemed partners at the Africa Development Bank, World Bank Group, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and Asian Development Bank for organizing this timely and valuable platform. This exchange comes at a critical juncture as many countries advance CIF-supported programs and as other countries prepare funding applications. Our focus on country platforms, our focus in Rwanda, offers a unique opportunity to learn from one another, share practical experiences, and gain insights that will amplify the effectiveness and impact of our respective initiatives. Today also marks a celebration of 11 successful years in our CIF Rwanda partnership. These funds have been instrumental in building Rwanda's resilience and forging strong partnerships with multilateral development banks, and this is a success driven by the design and implementation of 4 key programs. The first one is the scaling up of Renewable Energy Program, SREP, which expands energy access through solar and mini-grids. The second one is the pilot program for climate resilience, advancing adaptation strategies in agroforestry. The third one is the Forest Investment Program, FIP, promoting sustainable land management and forest conservation in Rwanda. And the fourth one is the Nature People Climate Initiative, delivering nature-based solutions for landscape restoration and livelihoods. Through this exchange, we are excited to share Rwanda's country platform on climate and development, which we launched at COP30 in Belém. Our government-led mechanism aims to mobilize, align, and coordinate public and private investment in support of Rwanda's NDC 3.0 and broader development goals. And CIF has significantly bolstered Rwandan resilience. We particularly appreciate the recent development and approval of the Nature, People, and Climate Investment Plan for our country, which marks a key milestone in advancing our climate and development priorities. With $31 million in approved financing led by the Rwanda Green Fund, this plan will enhance the quality of life of our citizens, especially in Rwanda's southern province, through targeted intervention in landscape restoration and catchment management, efficient natural resources utilization, sustainable and climate resilient agriculture, secure and environmentally friendly settlements, and last but not least, enhanced of sustainable livelihoods. Crucially, this investment plan is fully aligned with Rwanda's national priorities, including our NDC, our green growth and climate resilience strategy, and our long-term ambition to become a high-income, carbon-neutral economy by 2050. And these priorities closely align with CIF's focus areas on nature, resilience, and energy, offering a solid foundation for impactful collaboration. Looking ahead, Rwanda looks forward to future ARISE, which was just announced, ARISE funding to accelerate resilience and innovation for sustainable economies. And this financing will empower our communities through scaled up water security, climate smart agriculture, and resilience infrastructure that powers inclusive growth. Distinguished colleagues, Rwanda is also partnering closely with multilateral development banks allies to fast-track CIF-supported activity, as well as other initiatives that contribute to building the resilience of our people and ecosystems. We remain committed to ensuring that all investments are well-coordinated, country-driven, and aligned with our national development strategies. So as we engage in this knowledge exchange, Rwandans eagerly anticipate learning from countries advancing CIF's program and projects. In closing, I reiterate our thanks to the organizers and reaffirm Rwanda's steadfast commitment to collaborative action for climate resilience, sustainable development, and inclusive growth. I wish you a fruitful and productive discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Bernadette Arakiuye. Murakoze cyane. Okay. And now we have two video messages from ministers from CIF's partner countries. The first message is from Honorable Sanja Vovinovska, who is the Minister of Energy, Mining and Mineral Resources for the government of North Macedonia. And the second message is from the Honorable Abu Bamba, who is the Minister of Environment and Ecological Transition for the government of Côte d'Ivoire. Let's watch the messages.
One has allowed us to move to FIP2 with $140 million in financing implemented by the World Bank. This phase is currently underway and achieving substantial results as well. Côte d'Ivoire has recently passed the threshold of $100 billion GDP, and we are among the top 3 sub-Saharan Africa best performing economies. This wouldn't have been possible without the investment in the climate sector. Combined with the recent decision of GCF for this Board of Directors meeting to choose Abidjan as the host of its regional office for Africa, we are very proud of our partnership with CIF. We are firmly committed to continuing this partnership and very much looking forward to collaborating furthermore with CIF funding in the very near future. For God and my country, I thank you.
Many thanks to you, Honorable Bozinoviska and Honorable Bamba, for the video messages, which is clearly an indication of your strong support for the CIF, its MDB partners, and this event. Since we do work in a hybrid way, now we come back from the video to live in person. So next, we have Her Excellency Olivia Leslie, who is the Ambassador of Ireland to Ethiopia. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in welcoming Her Excellency Olivia to the stage.
Good morning, Ministers, Madam CEO, Director General, Excellencies, and my thanks to the Climate Investment Fund for the invitation to join you this morning at the opening of this Global Knowledge Exchange. I am really very pleased that Ireland is partnering with CIF, whose track record on policy, implementation and advocacy speaks for itself, including on climate finance, an area where we all know that there is still so much to achieve. As others have said, it's also very positive that this week's event will take place here in Addis as the government and its partners intensify preparations for COP32 next year. Ethiopia continues to demonstrate in its words and actions that climate leadership will be at the heart of its national, regional and global approach. Ireland and our partners in the European Union stand ready to support a successful outcome for COP32 and to amplify this continent's critical and unique voice on climate adaptation and response. Thank you to the Ethiopian government for your leadership and ambition. Ladies and gentlemen, Ireland's approach to international climate action is anchored in our strategic approach to development, which focuses on supporting the most vulnerable, including least developed countries, small island developing states, and conflict-affected countries. This includes building climate considerations into our development and humanitarian action and supporting long-term climate adaptation. Our focus on adaptation is reflected in how we allocate our climate finance. 83% of our climate finance has gone towards adaptation and towards supporting vulnerable regions and communities build the necessary infrastructure and systems to protect their people and economies as the climate changes. Ireland is committed to a three-pronged approach to our climate to our advocacy on international climate finance: quantity, quality, and access. And these are the priorities that we will be carrying through to our presidency of the European Union that begins in July this year. We need to make more progress on ensuring that climate adaptation is integrated across all national planning and funding mechanisms. Good development outcomes require good adaptation outcomes. Quite simply, you cannot have one without the other. And in recognition of the challenges LDCs and SID states face in accessing climate finance, Ireland is very supportive of the country platform approach discussed this morning as a means of addressing the fragmentation in the current financial landscape. And CIF's Arise programme is of interest to us through the country-led process and the engagement across MDBs. Countries shouldn't have to grapple with many different processes to access increasingly scarce funding. CIF's approach of linking to the private sector is also crucial. While public finance is and will remain a key element of global climate finance, particularly for adaptation, it is very clear that public finance alone cannot meet the growing adaptation needs of LDCs and SIDS, and links to the private sector are therefore crucial. And I'm particularly pleased to be here today as CIF launches the first global call for expressions of interest. We believe that it will be a catalytic programme and would encourage other partners to join and support. Financing mechanisms must be aligned with the priorities of developing countries and tailored to their specific needs and investment plans. We believe ARISE can achieve this, and we look forward to seeing its evolution. And with that, I wish you well in your deliberations over the next few days. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam Ambassador. Next, we have Mr. Samuel Doi, who is the resident representative for the United Nations Development Programme, or UNDP Ethiopia. Please welcome him.
Thank you. Excellencies, visiting ministers, state ministers, the Chief Executive Officer of CIF, representative of the African Development Bank, the World Bank Group, partners, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to CIF and our partners for convening this timely global knowledge exchange in Ethiopia, a city on the rise. We meet at a decisive moment. Countries are no longer only setting climate ambition, they are focused on converting that ambition into investments, systems change, and tangible gains for their people and economies. The climate investment funds demonstrate a powerful lesson. Transformation happens when finance, policy, and partnerships are aligned behind a clear national vision. One of the greatest values of gathering like this is practical peer learning. Countries facing similar challenges, whether in energy transition, water management, resilience, or nature-based solutions, are producing scalable approaches that others can adopt. At the United Nations Development Programme, we place that country-driven knowledge exchange at the heart of our sustainable development agenda. In Ethiopia, we are already turning shared experience into results through renewable energy programs, water resource management, early warning and climate finance systems, and the climate promise. UNDP is supporting the government and people of Ethiopia to engage partners across the global south, whether from China, Sri Lanka, Singapore, Turkey, and many others. UNDP also helps structure financing, de-risk projects, and develop bankable pipelines that crowd in private capital while ensuring inclusive community-centered outcomes. The evidence is clear, Excellencies. Catalytic public finance works. The Global Commission on Adaptation estimated that an investment of about 1.8 trillion between 2020 and 2030 in key adaptation areas could generate roughly 7.1 trillion in net benefits. Complementary analysis show adaptation costs for developing countries are already rising in the hundreds of billions of dollars per year, and that is to increase by 2030. In short, investment now avoids far greater economic and social losses tomorrow. Ethiopia's leadership for the climate resilient green economy strategy to strengthen the nationally determined contributions and the hosting of the Africa Climate Summit, and now preparing to host COP32, shows ambition and readiness. Catalytic partnership with CIF and multilateral development banks can convert that readiness into scaled investment. Blended and concessional finance, when well targeted, mobilizes multiple times its value in additional public and private flows and accelerates delivery on the ground. The path forward is straightforward. Strong country ownership, coordinated platforms, sustained capacity, continuous learning, and strategic partnerships are essential to move from plans to implementation. The United Nations Development Programme reaffirms its commitment to work with the government and people of Ethiopia and partners countries alongside CIF, the FDB, the World Bank Group, and others to strengthen institutions, mobilize funders, and ensure climate action delivers real benefits. And I wish all of us a productive and inspiring exchange during the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel Doe. Next we have Mr. Gianpiero Nacci, who is the Managing Director of Climate Strategy and Delivery for the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or EBRD. Benvenuto.
Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, colleagues, and partners, good morning. It's such a privilege to be here in Addis Ababa today, and I'd like to thank the CIF for the very kind invitation. I want to commend His Excellency, the Minister of Finance of Ethiopia and the government of Ethiopia for their hospitality and their leadership in placing Africa at the heart of the global conversation on climate and sustainability. And I wish them, and all of us in fact, all success for next year, COP32. Last week I was in Astana, Kazakhstan, and attended the Regional Ecological Summit. And I left to come to Addis with actually good feelings. The head of states of host Kazakhstan, plus additional 8 countries from the Caucasus and Central Asia, gave a clear message, addressing climate change, water scarcity, land degradation, biodiversity loss, is actually the top regional priority. They also said that regional cooperation is a necessary condition to support the development of sustainable, low-carbon and resilient energy and water systems. And also that green industrialization is the way forward to enhance economic competitiveness. Sounds familiar? Actually, the very same consideration apply to Africa today. And in my view, show 2 key things, 2 key messages. One, that the direction of travel is clear, common and irreversible. There is no alternative to the green transition. In fact, it's the smart thing to do, not only to address the climate and environmental crisis, but also to pursue economic growth, energy, and food security, and also to improve wellness and well-being of local communities. And the second message, that political signaling is fundamental, as well as regional and international alignment of objectives and actions. Now, the world is not short of climate targets. What we lack is a systematic translation of these commitments into a strong and consistent origination of investments at sufficient scale. The gap between ambition and implementation is where the real battle for climate is fought today. And this consideration brings me to the event today, because this is what the CIF has been and is particularly effective at: developing the tools, the approaches, and the partnership that help bridging that gap. Not static partnerships, but actually partnerships in action that deliver concrete results and their constant and continuous evolution. Through financial innovation, through knowledge sharing initiatives like this one that we are attending this week, and crucially by supporting programs that combine investment with policy reforms and capacity building, which are designed to create the market conditions in which the green transition becomes self-sustaining. This also means working on the just transition, skills retraining, economic diversification in core regions, as we heard from the North Macedonia representative, and social protections that ensure the transition create opportunity rather than hardship. These considerations are fully in line with EBRD values and mandate, and that's why we are really grateful for the cooperation with the CIF over many years. The event this week is about leadership. Leadership in climate finance and policy today entail clarity of vision, the ability to establish partnerships around shared goals, and effective communication. And if I have to prioritize one objective for this week, is indeed about communication. In the complicated and confusing world we live in, it is critical to develop the language and the messages that truly speak to the local communities, to the policymakers, and to the investors, and which ultimately trigger concrete and transformative action. With this, I want to wish you all participants a transformational week here in Addis Ababa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Grazie mille. Yeah, I'm practicing my greetings and how to say thank you in every languages. Only if I knew 29 countries are represented here. Oh, I'm glad I knew later on, because it would have been a lot. But trust me, next time I'll get it right. Okay, so next will be Dr. Cecile Njabet. And who is the president of the African Women's Network for Community Management of Forests, or REFACOF. Please help me in welcoming her to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, dear colleagues, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm participating in the second CIF exchange. I have been to Côte d'Ivoire last time, a few years ago, and I could see what progress and how it is important to address the climate change, the resilience, but also the poverty in our continent. So I'm Cecile Njabet. I'm coordinating a regional network of women where we are trying to push for gender equality, rural women right to land, natural resources, and to finance. We are now covering 20 countries in Africa, across continent, across Central, West, and Madagascar, and pushing more and more the agenda, political agenda, to take into account that target group we call rural women, which is always missing. And we have added the youth in our chapter. We have now a youth chapter. And this is very important for us. Accessing funding for women is a big challenge. We don't know why, because women are recognized as key actors in addressing this climate crisis we are facing, addressing poverty we are facing in our continent, and trying to push for family. One woman is educated, all family is educated. But we have just learned from Liana Shakalak that only 0.4% of climate finance reaches women, feminist or women-led organizations. How can we continue to exclude women from funding while they play a key role that is recognized almost worldwide? And this is where CIF is very welcome. The CIF agenda, the CIF approach, especially the dedicated fund mechanism, the DGM. I'm so happy to see in the room many colleagues and friends who will be sharing their experiences. We visited some last time in Côte d'Ivoire. So I think what we are aiming at is to combat climate change, to bring back our biodiversity, and to elevate the livelihood of our local communities and our communities in general. So it is important to upscale the CIF envelope, can I say it like that? And the DGM is time to now enlarge their agenda and their working group. Women are very important in this, and youth. I'm calling for CIF, and I'm very happy that the CEO is announcing the new program. I really hope that it will take into account the large and huge need that we have from our rural women and youth. And civil society organization should also have a share in this mechanism. The DGM is powerful, is impactful. I can address that, I trust that. I have visited many experiences, many initiatives. It's working. This is the type of mechanism we are looking for. But the need is huge, so we need more. And women are still left behind. Please take care of that group. If you want to make what we call an impact, especially in our continent. This is my call today for CIF and the DGM and all donors, partners who are in the room and who will be following this week during this exchange. Please upscale the capacity of the DGM and include rural women and youth and the civil society organization. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Njabet, and thank you all for your insightful remarks. What a way to start the day. It was fire. Thank you for helping set the stage for what promises to be a meaningful 4 days of CIF Global Knowledge Exchange. And once again, we truly appreciate the government of Ethiopia, CIF, the African Development Bank Group, and the World Bank Group for putting hands together to make the significant event a reality here in Addis Ababa, the capital city of Africa. Thank you very much.